Okay, I want to do some sound check to see whether anyone could hear me. There's not really that people here anyway, so I mean I'm just taking this as I'm recording a video since I have limited time as well. Yes, this is going to be English mainly because it's a world tournament. I think I could convey my thoughts more in English more. Alright, I guess this sounds good. Okay, so whoever's here live, thank you for joining. This is Tigris here. Just call me Tiger instead. That's my real name. So yeah. So the results for round three has came up. I think I put round two instead for my video. Shit. Okay. But I mean, this is round three. The results just came out from our organizer. And so first of all, thank you for the participants for submitting their videos, all of them. It's it's not rare, but it's nice to have every participant to submit their videos on time for the judgment. And so, okay, so briefly, I want to lay out what I'm going to talk about here. I want to take like 30 minutes maximum, it might be shorter, where I first introduce the overall results of the World Cup for round three and see how the judges have set their results. And then I'm going to basically review each video for each round and put my thoughts onto it and sort of tell like where I'm looking at, where I'm judging each videos. And this perhaps will be a reference for the future as well. So yeah, let's just cut into the chase. Let's just look at the results here. Okay, so yeah. So for Don Wanderer from JB and W from Philippines Penspinning, JB Don Wanderer has won. And for the match between Ultimate Rookies from JB and X from FPSB has won. And so, which concludes that for the final round of this World Cup, it will be JB versus FPSB with Don Wanderer versus X. And for third place, it's going to be W versus W from Philippines versus Ultimate Rookies from JB. So, I mean, the results here isn't really that surprising per se, especially between this match between Ultimate Rookies and X. Yes, both of them have submitted great videos, but were some obvious downsides to it. I think the more exciting matchup was Darn Wanderer and W because it's not that they had equal amount of strengths in terms of how they could compete, but it's more like each team had their own category that they excelled in, and I think that made it a more interesting battle between the two. So yeah, congratulations Don Wanderer and X, and good luck for your final round, and as well as W and Ultimate Rookies for your third places. Now, for here, I'm not here to do like a lot of predictions about the further rounds and all that because I'm the actual judge, and I don't think I should be in a position where I'm going to make predictions of who is going to win next round. That is for you guys to decide. That is the audience. So yeah, right now I'm just going to present like what is done at this point of now. So now we just show the final bracket. Let's see the compiled results. So as we know, um, for this World Cup, there were 5 judges, including myself. One is RPD, Herons from Taiwan. RPD is from Spain, I think. I'm not so sure. Dark KT, who is from Brazil. He is very known for his tap encounters, a very good spinner. Isaac from Australia, and myself. I used to be from the States, but now I am in Japan, so I guess I'm part of an Asian community similar to Herons. So yeah, let's see which one should we see? I think I think we should just go for top and down and just start off with Don Wanderer and W. So for aestheticism, it was Kobe versus CH or Chobi. It was a 5-0 result. This wasn't really that surprising in my honesty. So I think it was quite okay for me to see this result. I'm sorry for CH because I know him personally, but so for Duet, I think Duet was a bit more difficult in judging because both had their strengths and weaknesses at the same time, and I think it really depends on the dynamics of which judge emphasized which part of the video itself. And it seemed like a 3-2 with Ennis and Real Life winning for the duet round. And for Wiper is Fuguro versus Walla. This was also very close, I think. Essentially, the theme is Wiper, but for Wipers, it's not only execution that is part of the judging criteria. It also included other aspects of penspinning, such as difficulty, construction, as well as other aspects. So I think because of those sort of elements, it sort of leveraged Walla to win by a close margin, which is exactly what happened here, actually. The only outlier is RPD with a 10-point difference between the two, whereas the majority, I think, they're in the 5-point line. Speaking of which, I think Kobe versus CH, there's also a good actually, no, never mind. It's okay. It's like maybe close battle. I think Duet had a more closer battle too, by margin. Yeah, these are close, except for Dark Kitty. It seems like he was convinced that Innis in real life was uh, the more advantageous one throughout the round. Yeah, so let's take a look at this part first in terms of video, and then we'll just and then weigh sort of I'm going to say my opinions towards each video. So first, Kobe. Sorry, I might be a bit nervous because of the live stream. I don't know why it's limited view, honestly. It should just be publicized. So first time I look, Kofi has definitely improved from his previous participating rounds in world competitions. I think he also competed in world tournament last year. And for here, definitely like his execution has increased by a lot. And since the theme is aestheticism, I guess the focus on execution rather than the material itself made sense for him for submitting this video. So now, I'm taking a look at this video, and the beginning is a nice introduction, I guess. It starts with really basic power passes and then the counter and towards there. Now, this is, I think, one of the highlighting parts of the video, where he does in and out sonics in between and do I'm not sure what you call this trick. Uh, it's like FXXK or something. I think that was the trick. I'm not so sure. I know how to do it, just I'm not sure how to call it. I've seen this sort of link in drowsy spinning a lot often, so it wasn't really that much surprising for me. And the way it's connected here, yeah, also see you see that the bus to pinky, and then you do like Rhymo back reverse. That is shown right there. Yeah, right there. This is also a very common linkage in Drowsy, so it wasn't really that surprising in terms of material. So yeah, that's also another thing. And I thought the ending was nice, where it had the double power pass, mirror power pass reverse, I think that was called. And doing that continuously, I bet. I mean, I don't think I can see how it could be easy as a concept itself, but actually sort of executing that might be a bit difficult. So those were the good parts of it. So now let's get to the negatives. I think the very obvious one is the ending, where it didn't really. It was it was kind of forced. It kind of went stubby near the end. It was like shaking. And also the highlight part, which I was talking about before, was also it was noticeably shaky in the wrists. Yeah, see, it's like shaking a lot. And I believe in aestheticism, you shouldn't really have this noticeable. Like in a very aesthetically pleasing combo, usually it incorporates like most focus on the movement of fingers and the absence of parts of your hand, including your wrist and arm, that is unnecessary movement excluded. So, with that being said, for myself, I didn't really give a relatively high score, so it's like half the score in all sorts. So that's a given. So for originality, like this is material that I've seen quite often nowadays, especially from Kobe. So it's a relatively lower score. Difficulty wise, the same. I mean, difficulty isn't really scaled heavily in this criteria, so I gave it like a 3 out of 5. Construction wise, though, I think it's really well done. Um, how should I say? It's really compact and concise. It didn't really have unnecessary material per se. Actually, it may have like very underwhelming material. If it had more difficult, or maybe more, how should I say, wow factor tricks in there, he might have got a higher score. But I mean, he won anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's Kobe. Let's see for CH. I believe this was a more shorter combo. Definitely a shorter combo, and definitely easier links used compared to Kobe. But then again, I think one could say that CH had a more compact combo than Kobe, not only because of the time, the length of the video itself, but also like how it's sort of brought from beginning to the end. In Kobe's video, there was like a lot of tension. There was like ups and highs, the difficult part, the highlights, and then like the running end to it. Whereas in CH or Chobi here, he didn't really have like much ups and downs in terms of tensions. Not much. I guess like the highlight I could mark out is near the ending here, which she did it quite well actually. Like there was almost little movement in there. So overall, I think he did a really good job in all that. I guess like the impact of just extended thumb around to bust was kind of underwhelming. So that sort of led him to that low score as well. And I guess the difficulty also racked him down there. But in terms of execution, I think both parties were equally alright. It was just a matter of the structure of the combo as well as the difficulty of the combos that he was putting in there. So, but other than that, I think it's quite a good video. All right, so let's go to the duets. Right. Um, yeah. So duets, I'm honestly not really an expert in duets. I'm not sure what is a good or a bad one, but so usually I try to look at the technical side of the video, but I also look at like the thematic aspect of what a duet is. Like if a duet video it has to feel like you're watching a duet, not really one person dominating your partner and giving all the stage lights to that one person while the other is just doing like the little connective work and all that. I think it really requires a lot of teamwork when making this video. But it isn't just teamwork. There is also that technical aspect of it. So it really tests like the individual skill that each spinner has that is presented inside the video. So let's look at JB's side first. I was honestly quite entertained by this though. This it was a okay. Yeah, that's quite loud actually. Alright, so it's basic power pass, square pass, spreads. I think for this video, Ennis had more highlighting, but I think it may be because of the background of real life. His since his environment is more at home, I think he's taking this from the top of his bed. It kind of makes it feel less serious, and that sort of how should I say dismisses the whole presentation of his spinning, which I think is quite disappointing to be honest. So yeah, but for Ennis, his presentation is really well done. I think maybe editing might played a huge role into it. So he did the fingerless continue, the shadow to extend. Yeah, that transition is good. Palm up mid back 1.5 continuous is really good, I think. I personally like this part, this counterpart. Yeah, like, okay, just you have to take a look at when he's stopping the pen here. Like, well, I'm not sure how he's stopping that. Maybe he's stopping his pen by pushing his thumb and index finger to the opposite direction maybe because I don't think it's like he's like making the pen stand on the desk. I think that part is quite sort of the biggest highlight for me. It was quite exciting watching this part. I had to like repeat this part. Maybe yeah, I like that part. This part is quite confusing to watch, I think. It's not okay. And I guess this is the highlight part of the intended highlight part of the video. Yeah, like real life spinning looks much better in a more, how should I say, complete an environment like this. I think it's very, how should I say, wasted potential to not put much care on the setup that you're filming in. I mean, that part is nice, yeah. I guess this is where they wanted to emphasize in terms of the duet, and there was definitely like a theme in there and all that, but overall it's like just like two spinners like throwing to each other. It wasn't really that much like teamwork duet based. like especially transitions, and as well as like the tricks that are presented here. There isn't really like, how should I say, technically surprising parts. These are parts that has already been introduced in the pen spinning world. Like it's not nothing really new. So I had in the technical side of the video, the execution was great, but at the same time, I didn't really score much on the other aspects of spinning. But thematic wise, I think it was quite nice. Although for coherence, I might think it could have been a bit better, especially during this part, this double part. I couldn't really particularly tell what they wanted to do in this part. Maybe like show what they were both potential of, but this means that there's 2 points of focuses, and given how us humans can only focus on 1 point of anything, it was kind of difficult in terms of presentation, which is why I didn't really give a good score on the coherence part. Now, if this was like a synchronized movement or something, then I think it would have been better. So yeah, that's my remarks of this video. Jesus, that's 20 minutes of talking already. Okay, I guess this is going to be a longer video than I expected. So let's go to their opponent, Mond and Zound. I personally like this video a lot, yeah. Zound is just insane with his finger cross material. It's very mesmerizing. I mean, at this point, like the technical part of the judging went way up, and surprisingly, Mond is not he's not dragging Zounds' feet really, because he has like the insane amount of material as well on his side, and I think it's quite distinct from him as well. It's something that Zound doesn't do, but only Mond could do. But in another aspect, though, his camera quality isn't really that good, so it's kind of difficult for me to look at it. Yeah, so this part was cool. Like the material are the same, it's synced, it's got more of this duet theme into it, and these multiple angles transitioning and all sorts. It gave a more sense of duet personally when I first saw this, and it's a duet that I haven't seen this sort of duet in the short history of pen spinning really. So I think that was a nice touch that they were like transitioning multiple angles in this. Now I think about it, maybe this is like editing here. It's like the film grain thing. I personally don't really. I think that kind of hinders the presentation of the video, so maybe tone down on that. But I guess that it might have been for thematic reasons. So therefore, I sort of scored overall alright for their video in terms of the duet. Yeah, and the technical side, yeah, the execution might have been down mainly due to Mon, but that isn't really like a huge deal. Difficulty definitely racked up more for Duet Cypher, Zound, and Mon. I mean, but even that though, it was still a close battle. Personally, they both had their own strengths and weaknesses. Alright, so let's go for the final battle. Fukuro and Walam. I think this was personally my favorite battle of all, simply because we've got two dynamic spinners who both qualify as wiper or infinists per se, but they have like such a different approach to each other in terms of wipers. So it was an interesting battle to see, and it was definitely one of the difficult battles to judge. So let's see if it grows here. Right, so the very first impression I got by watching this video was the length of the video. It felt very forcedly long. Like definitely I thought you really didn't need like the extra 10 seconds after this part, which is probably the highlight of the video. Yeah, this part, yeah. Like if it ended there or made it or had like a bit long ending or sorts, I think it would have made more sense. But given that it made it even longer, I didn't really get a good impression towards this particular combo. But there are insane moments I think that Fuguro never had showed in his previous spinning. Like yeah, so like this part I think it doesn't really show much because it's from a top down angle. The back counter was nice and sort of and linking that back counter to a wiper like that is also was very smooth, and I think that's thanks to his execution advantage that he had. Like he Ufukuro is very masterful in terms of execution and sort of timing his tricks in a way that makes it look appealing, and the setup makes it presentable and seeing things way easier. I thought this part was really nice, where I think it's in the slow mo part as well. Yeah, does this like I'm not sure what it's called. It's like in and out wiper or something where he just puts that. Maybe he's doing like a sonic clip wiper or something. Is that what it's called? I thought that part was quite a nice touch. Yeah, and then the double sort of transferring from 1 2 to 5 like that, and then it's just like from this part it's all like repeated material that he had in Japan 15th or something maybe. um what is this? Wait, does the sidebar recommend his own stream? Am I streaming something at the same time? I don't think so. Oh, oh well, I guess it does make sense that way. So yeah, overall though, his combo in terms of execution is the nice part, which is the where the criteria weighs heavily on. So I gave him a high score in execution. There were parts that I kind of didn't really feel was appropriate in terms of execution. Like this part, it kind of it made a pen sort of stutter a little. Yeah, this part, and the more I look at it, it kind of disturbed me more. Yeah, and I don't know. It's just near the end, he tries to sort of, how should I say, compile everything that he's done before into one complete form, and then dunks it into the finisher. And I think it's just me, but I felt that sort of not panicness, but this sort of wantingness to end this quickly from his side, and that sort of caused this sort of not stutter, but it sort of showed low confidence for me. I mean, the ending is nice, but like the combos that was guided to the ending felt very forced, and I personally didn't like that. And this is not just from the execution side; it is also from the structure of the combo side. Just like I said in the beginning of watching this video, it felt very long watching this, and it didn't really feel that concise as a combo. So yeah, that's Fuguro, and here's Voila. Oh, did I review Fuguro score? Yeah. So originality wise, material wise, there were some new material, but it wasn't like necessarily surprisingly new material. And the combos, the difficulty of the combos are lower, obviously. And just as it says for construction, like it didn't really felt concise, so I had to give him a low score. And that obviously relates to efficiency, which sort of gave him a lower score. But presentation wise, it was really good. So I had to give him a full mark on that. Alright, so here's Walla. So first thing I noticed that this is not 30 FPS. I think it's like 20, 15 to 20, maybe 20. Actually no, maybe it's like a higher FPS, like 60 or something, which gives this sort of it gives a more larger frame to look at, and obviously it doesn't give a cool effect into the spinning itself. So I had to lower him and the presentation mark for that. It's a very specific thing, but I do consider that into the judging criteria as well. Sorry, all the talking made me a bit thirsty. Yeah, structure-wise, I think is very superb. It's like a lot of incorporation of like the sort of tap wiper counter thing. I really like that because it you don't really see this from other spinners, and he makes it look good too at the same time. And at first, like he might have had not much good execution. Um, for first reason, maybe because of the structure of his hand, which made it less appealing. But even that, he sort of overcame that and still made the execution go really well. I really liked the sort of transition to reverse from the wiper. It gives a nice contrast. I think this part might have been could have improved a bit better because it sort of made the pen shift so sudden. It sort of damaged the execution part of it. But the dynamic effect that comes after that flick is still one of the memorable highlights of it. I think he might have. I saw his other drafts and I saw what he was intending to do as his finisher, and those looked way better than this one. But overall, this combo is probably the best draft that he had. So I guess he submitted this one. So yeah, that's voila. His Yeah, that finger cross finisher is also insane. I think. Yeah, he's a really superb spinner, and like the structure of the combo really made sense. Like it had this certain flow and these highlights and ups and downs, and it really felt like how should I say one of those really good combos that you see in the past that has a clear structure of like beginning, middle, and end, and I think that was a nice touch from him. So yeah, for that's why I it made sense for me that Walla won, but that doesn't mean to undermine Fgro's video as well. He also did do a really great job at the video, but there were just some parts that was clearly surpassing Fgro's video, such as like originality, difficulty wise, structure. I guess for personal reasons, I'd want him to do better in presentation, not in terms of like the video quality, but more on the frames per second. 30 FPS is the ideal pen spinning FPS. I don't think there's any argument with that. Honestly, goddamn Siege. Okay, so let's. Jesus, it took me 30 minutes to explain that battle. I I I mean that was the highlight of this round, really. This part. Um. Hmm. Yeah, since this was a more tension happening battle. And compared to that, FPSX, I'm sorry to say this, but it was quite dominating for me to see the results between Ultimate Rookies and FPSBX. Yeah, it's like it's mostly like the majority win for FPSBX here, and but really good job on Ultimate Rookie's side. I think I've heard that most of the members here are like less than 3, 4 years in terms of spinning age. Whereas in people like Left Finger, Arconyx, and the Vegas, I'm not sure the Vegas, I think he's relatively young too, but they're all very experienced spinners. I think more than like 6, 7 years, maybe even 10, maybe. And to have like a big fight between those two, I think it was a great opportunity for them. And I wish them good luck in trying to improve their spinning um, on the technical side so that they would participate in future world competitions. So yeah, let's see the first battle. Debate Geek versus Vexy. So for here it shows Vexy, so let's why not just do Vexy first? I think Vexy's video is probably it's not the most outstanding, but it is the most typical world competition level video you sort of expect. But it's mostly like in round one or something, I guess. Yeah, I see a lot of these finger crosses, power passes. What do you call that? It's like some slow fist tricks. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I feel like the combo sort of repeats from time to time in terms of directions and all. Yeah, because he does this. He does cross his middle and ring finger in a way that makes it look like a flush Sonic. My mic is low. Okay. Um, Let me see if I can do something about that. All right. I think I increased the mic a little. How is this now? Hello, hello. Hmm. Oh well, I've increased some volume into the mic, so get happy with that. Yeah, overall theme wise, it does visually look like a complicated video. I mean, complicated combo. But the material wise, it wasn't really surprising in a way. Like I do know what he is doing in here, but it's not really like out of the ordinary or sorts. Jesus, even other people were commenting on the voice. Okay, I guess I should just increase it here. Ah, maybe that'll be better. So overall, for my scoring for Vexy, his difficulty wasn't really that high. Originality wasn't really that high. He had the same originality as Grow in this case, which I think makes sense from a comparison standpoint. Execution-wise, it's decent. Structure-wise, he did a good job at it. I think it felt concise. It had a beginning, middle, end, but there was an aspect where it looked similar. Yeah, like that part. I think it's like because he uses similar finger slots and finger positioning that made it look similar. So working on the dynamics of that would definitely improve the quality of the video. So yeah, and presentation wise, I honestly didn't like the setup. I mean, it's typical. It's a very typical presentable setup, but it's not like the outstanding setups. So yeah, that's my opinion for Bexy. Alright, so let's see his opponent, the Big Geek. Now, the very first thing I look at this is, I don't know, just zoom out, man. Just, I don't know what's so difficult. Actually, like, his frame boundary is quite large, and yet he couldn't, like, I don't know why he just had to do a frame out at that in the beginning. I mean, sure, he's not doing the most like insane thing in the beginning, but it gave me a very odd impression while watching this video. But yeah, I think this was one of those videos where I really needed to do a lot of slow mo. Yeah, especially like this part I thought was quite cool. I may have seen like the same material from Felterfram. Yeah, and this part, I understand what he's trying to do, but just I don't know, there wasn't really much spin into it. So I can't really comment much on the technical aspect of this. I'm not really that much of an expert, but I can sort of tell that yeah, those parts. Alright, sorry for my phone alarm there. Yeah, that counter. I think I'm not sure what he's doing there actually. Yeah, he's doing like a finger cross pass and like those a bit of a Sonic in there. And then finally he does like this. I think it's Itaza trick. Maybe he's doing a 1.5. He may not be doing. Yeah, it's not a 1.5. It's just a Itaza trick there as a finisher, which is quite not surprising but odd in my impression. But for some odd reason, it felt complete when he did that. But maybe because of like the distinctiveness of his material, and I guess that shows originality in a sense. But comparing Vexy with TBG, I think it gives quite an obvious contrast, especially with the consideration that the theme for the battle was complexity. So difficulty wise, I had to give the Vegik a high score. But in terms of execution and efficiency, as well as presentation, which is like the beginning part of it, I had to put him in a lower score. Originality wise, he's quite high, but not too high because, again, I think I saw much material from Felterfram in terms of the non-finger cross parts of the combo. So that's those two. Okay, so aestheticism. This battle was a bit monotone for me. I didn't really quite enjoy, but Totoro here, I think, he did try. I think a lot. But this obviously looks like a more technical combo, or more than an aesthetic combo, which is fine because aestheticism isn't really something that foreigners and JB members sort of have a same page understanding between each other. So since this is a world competition and it goes by generally approved guideline criteria, I'm moreover going to judge on the World Book criteria rather than the JB's perspective of aestheticism. So putting that aside, execution though, I think Tetra has done quite a good job at it. Material wise, it's very typical, using a lot of how should I say, in-out Sonics, Rhymerev, that typical finger positioning that you do to show like complicated linkages and all sorts. You have to bend your middle finger and put out your ring finger to pretend like you're doing some complicated shit, but it's actually not. You're just like quite flexible, and that's it. Yeah, the power pass backs. Yeah, so overall stand combo, I guess the swuk part didn't really look that appealing near the end. It kind of looked jagged in the end. So overall, like execution wise, it's high, but it's not definitely higher than what Fugro or the other spinners like Kovi or Real Life has done. Kofi actually, yeah, Kofi had a lot of stutters in the combo, so he had a lower score than Tetera, but overall, it's alright. Difficulty wise, it's alright. Structure, I didn't really feel much conciseness into the combo itself, so I had to give him a low score, which obviously affects the efficiency of the combo. And presentation wise, it was a bit dark, I think. And making it dark kind of does make it look less presentable as a combo. So I had to deduct some points, but it was still presentable. Alright, I really want to rush because I intended to talk for just 30 minutes. Let's see. Alright, so let's look at Arconix's video. Arconix's video, I like his old school spinning, his take on old school spinning, I think. I think that's what I'm seeing, especially this part. This part is like, it's like archaeological, I feel like. You rarely see people do that these days. And the finisher too, that's something you'd see in like 2011 or 12 as a finisher. There was like this spinner called Raik from, I think it was French as well. A lot of the material kind of reminded me of him when I was looking at this video. Like overall nice. Now, is it aesthetically pleasing? Not sure. I have like the same stance as I see with Tetera when I see Argonix. But overall, he had a more concise structure and it was efficient. And I think his presentation was better than Tetera, which gives him an upper hand by a very small margin, as you can see here. And I think it's like the same for the others. Yeah, yeah. Except for Dark KT, because he sees obvious differences between Argonix and Tetra. Not to downplay him, but it's just difference of scaling each aspects of the criteria. Alright, so let's go for our last battle. You know what? I need to like. This is a name of an element, but I'm not sure what it was. I need to Google it. And we'll just be calling him that. Imbatromedai. How do you pronounce this thing? Jesus. Nordihydrocapsaicin. 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 Alright, so we're gonna call him Nordihydro from now on. Or C17, I guess. Jesus. I'll just call him C17 then. So the first thing you see, this is definitely different from the combos that he did before in spinning. Mainly because he's using these in-out wipers that is mainly crafted by Felterfram. And I think he really does a good job in trying to implement that material into his own spinning. It is a good attempt, but at the same time, you could see a lot of stutters in his wrists a lot, in his wrist as well as his arm, which shows that he didn't really master the material a lot. And I see a lot of typical combos near the end. Yeah, like moonwalk there. Yeah, but for the novelty of it, I think he should receive some credit for which I did score him decently high in difficulty, construction, as well as originality as well. So yeah, good attempt on him. So let's take a look at left finger, the last video. I personally like left finger because he does incorporate like really unorthodox moves into a combo that just somehow makes sense. And before he didn't really have that good execution, but as age passes, just like good wine, I guess it made it better for him. But overall here, he didn't have like anything too surprising, but it is still a good combo from him. And the spinning was distinctively French, if that makes sense, where they use a very not popular tricks incorporated into one combo. I guess one complaint I should say about is how anticlimactic the ending may be. Oh, I didn't notice that the pen went in between the spaces between the desk. Okay, that's nice, I guess. +1 presentation. I think another thing that he should really commit to is trying to stabilize that wrist, and I think by the nature of the tricks, it's sort of difficult for him to do that, but it'll definitely be a plus if he is able to do that. Another way to do this is just wear like a long sleeve shirt. That sort of does help the presentation a lot, surprisingly. Yeah, overall, he doesn't use like a really difficult tricks, but it's decently difficult. So execution wise, I've put the same as C17. Higher originality than C17, difficulty, construction, efficiency wise too, and both they nonetheless had alright presentation. They had good presentation. It was well presented enough. And so yeah, so it was a 3-0 for me for FPSB versus JB. Yeah, with X winning downslide. And then for here, it was a 1-2 battle between W and Dawn Wanderer, with me W winning. So yeah, those are my results, and I think overall, I think it's a really fair results that we gave as 5 judges there. Obviously, all 5 spinners focus on different aspects of pen spinning, and as far as the criteria goes, by having distinct judging from each side and try to average that into one, you get this ideal sort of a objective view of pen spinning in a really balanced, realistic way of it. But there are aspects of the criteria which I think should be considered in future judging, which I would definitely consider doing it myself. But I'm it's just a matter of motivation for me, I guess. Yeah, I think one aspect would be something like Walla versus Fgrom, where there should be like a more obvious like thematic related criteria. Like I know execution is a huge portion of what Wiper is, but if there was like a how should I say theme criteria where it says like, oh, this definitely feels like a Wiper combo, or this definitely feels like an aestheticism combo, then I think it would be good. I think that was what effectiveness was for the World Tournament criteria, and I think it would be interesting to be able to implement that into this criteria if the same criteria will be used in the future competitions. So yeah, that's my take on this World Cup round 3. I'm kind of curious how the other judges might have seen it. So I think from what I remember, Isaac and I had some similar views in terms of results. Yeah, so 1-2 and 3-0. Yeah, so we overall had the same results. So Dark KT preferred Dawn Wanderer more than um, W there. Hmm, I think it's just better to see the compiled parts. Okay, so I'm done from my side. If there are any questions that you guys want to ask me now, you could just ask them now in the comments section. As you're seeing, how many people are watching? Oh, I guess nobody's watching it anymore. I'll just give it like 5 minutes or something, and then I'll just end the stream. 5 minutes, yeah, it's about an hour, so I guess that's some good time to end it. Overall, it's a nice stream though. I didn't think it was that easy to be able to stream on YouTube. So I want to thank Coffee Lucky for that. He's the one who recommended me this OBS software. Oh, thank you, Michi. Yeah, so I guess that's the end of it. If there's going to be any other opportunities doing the stream, I'll probably definitely go do it beforehand. I'll just be like doing some announcements, I guess. So yeah, see you on your side. Maybe we'll see us again. Thank you.